Hi everyone. So I have a new product for you to take part in. This one is called Zelda merch. Zelda, like the video game. So there's a little bit about Zelda merch. So they are the first store that is dedicated to the Legend of Zelda merch, and it stands out. At Zelda Merchandise, they specialize in delivering one-of-a-kind, high-quality Legend of Zelda merchandise that you won't find anywhere else. So whether you're a devoted fan of Zelda, or you collect unique items, or you're just searching for the perfect gift for someone, I could think of someone myself who I could gift this for. Their exclusive products are designed to celebrate your love for the series. So they pride themselves in offering a diverse range of premium items. So you can get stylish apparel or stunning accessories to captivating home decor and collectibles. So what sets them apart is their dedication to bringing you rare and distinctive creations inspired by the iconic world of Zelda. So from exclusive designs featuring your favorite characters and symbols to custom crafted treasures, you won't find this anywhere else. Everything in their store is made to amaze. So these are different things that you can find. If you're interested, you can get exclusive designs inspired by Zelda's legendary world, premium craftsmanship at the best prices, unique creative products that elevate your fandom. So they have weekly bestsellers. They have different rings that you can partake in. They also have Bluetooth controllers or Joy-Con chargers, Nintendo Switch carry cases, Zelda games, of course, and they have Switch card holders, different controllers that are obviously Zelda inspired, or you can go for the more merchandise type stuff. They have wallets, music boxes, phone cases, mouse pads, keycaps, purses, plushies, watches, mugs. I think I know what I'm going to be doing. I think I know what I'm going to be getting. A special person in my life who loves Zelda. They have mugs, alarm clocks, backpacks. They also have different jewelries, necklaces, keychains, earrings. I mentioned the rings already, or even just other fun stuff like puzzles, paintings, rugs, blankets, even bedding. They also have stickers if you want to go that route, or wall art, posters. You can also get things for someone's birthday, birthday themed Zelda, figures, lamps, Lego. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So if you want to partake in that as well as support the podcast, you can go to zelda-merchandise.com/reality2. So that again is zelda-merchandise.com/reality2 to partake in that. There is also a coupon code that will also be reality2 that you can also use at checkout as well to support not only Zelda merchandise, but as well as the podcast. Patreon going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore. We're currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first two tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with a Thousand Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/reality tea times two, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it, even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/reality tea times two. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality tea times two. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing Love is Blind, episode 8. Let's just jump right in, y'all. Let's jump into it. So, Vic and Christine, we see them playing pickleball, having some fun. Alex and Ashley are doing mud stuff, not spa or something. Brittany and Devontae are working out, and she is thinking about seasonings. You can't apparently think about seasonings while working out because food. Jessica and Chris. We're at his house. We see his kitty. She's cute. His cold plunge tub is there. See, that was the red sign. The red flag. That was a red flag about this guy with his fucking cold plunge. And he's like that guy who constantly talks about cold plunge. Knew he was okay. His place is cute, though. It is very cute. His parents are happy that Jessica does not want kids because they know him. What does that mean? Again, I thought that. I'm like, what does that mean that they know you and know that maybe you shouldn't be procreating? Okay. Then we go to her house. It's big and it's nice. And I forget she's a doctor sometimes. And her bedroom is so cool. It definitely sets a mood. I really like her bedroom. One bedroom is her closet, and I think she really, really likes snakes. But then I thought about, isn't the snake a part of like the something to do with like in the medical field? It's like, isn't that like a snake that like wraps around like something having to do with the medical field? I think that's why. I don't know. But anyways. So she asks him, where did you go last night? This is the next day. She walks into the apartment. He's there. And that's when she asks him, like, where did you go last night? Apparently, he went out with a friend, didn't really tell her, or I'm confused. Either he didn't tell her that he was going out and then staying home, like at his home, or like he only texted her very briefly and was like, going out, see you later, like some kind of situation like that. So, but yeah, he says, well, I don't need to be in constant contact with you. Okay, maybe not. You don't need to be in constant contact with her, and she says as much. But I am your fiance. Like, I do need like better communication as to where you're going to be. Like, the fuck? And you are technically living together right now. So yeah, it would be nice to know where you are at any given moment. That'd be nice. She apparently texted him earlier saying, like, I love you. And he said nothing back in return. That that here's my thing. I don't do that personally, and I don't think like I think like Personally, though, if someone is doing that, that deserves a response. You should be responding back to that person to say something. You know what I mean? But if you are that kind of person and you are doing that, okay, fine. Whatever, toot your horn. But personally, just kind of seeing the kind of person Jessica is and her seeming to be fairly confident in herself and what she deserves and all of that. I do wonder if she's doing that because she is seeking some form of validation that she isn't getting. And that makes me wonder if that's like what she's doing here. But then for him to like not respond, like what the hell is going on there? So um then he asks, "Do you think we have a good physical connection?" Where is that coming from? That's so random. And she's like, "Yeah, I do. Like, don't you?" Like, it's very weird. And trust me, this is gonna get worse later. But yeah, he says this, like, and it's so out of the blue. And he says, let me say it this way, because I just trying to figure out the best way to say this. I wanna see this through. I do. I wanna see this through. But I am also used to dating a certain type of woman. And I'm watching this and I'm like, the fuck you say? Like, what do you mean? You're used to dating a particular type of person. And she's like, well, what does that mean? Because come on, we're not dumb here. We know what he's saying here. He's trying to say he's used to like a, a gym bod type of girl and going to like, that's what he's looking for. But I'm looking at Jessica and I'm like, she's fucking gorgeous. And it looks like her body is great. What the fuck is going on here? Like, what is he talking about? But he says, I'm used to a girl that does like CrossFit and she does Pilates every day. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy? I was literally, I couldn't even continue taking notes because I was in such shock of what the fuck I was hearing. And she's like, well, that's kind of hurts me a bit. She's like, I'm sorry that like I work all day. She's a fucking doctor. She's a fucking doctor. Let's remember this. She's a goddamn doctor in a hospital. Okay. She is doing at minimum 12-hour shifts. She is a doctor. And I'm sorry if she doesn't have time to go to the fucking gym on top of being on her goddamn feet most days because she's, let's say it with me, everybody, a doctor and go do fucking CrossFit or fucking Pilates. Let's just be fucking happy she's saving the world. She is in healthcare. She is the one. You better be fucking nice to her because God forbid if you need to go to a hospital and she ends up being your fucking doctor. She did take an oath, so she does have to save your life. But either way, it's just like she's a doctor. She like her exercise is potentially walking around a goddamn, she's getting her steps in, y'all. Are you for real here? Just because she's not going to a goddamn gym doesn't mean, and I'm sorry, this guy who looks like a goddamn Muppet is out here saying that she needs to be going to a gym? Fuck you, sir. You have your looks. You look, like I said, a goddamn Muppet. Okay? You do not look like a man, in my honest opinion. You look like a child, in my honest opinion. I don't fucking see it. You're not the hottest guy here. That goes to Alex and Vic. Okay? Hell, even Connor kind of does it for me a little bit. But like, But how honestly, actually, everybody, not you though. You never did it for me. And you want to be out here and talking about her looks? You should be so fucking grateful that she saw you and she thought you were attractive. Because I don't understand. I see her and I'm like, this girl's way too hot for you. She's out of your fucking league. And you want to talk about her? The fuck? This Muppet looking piece of shit who is barely a 5'9" wants to talk about her looks. Okay, okay, mm-hmm, sure, sure. And he is talking about how, like, how so important sex is to him, and he wants it to be like, having sex all the time or some shit. I don't fucking understand. We get a little bit more into it when we get to the pod party. But he's like really seems to put a lot of emphasis on sex. Do you want to understand? Listen, most men do. I'm not saying that they don't. But you want to know the men who constantly need to be validated by sex are the ones who aren't fucking good at it. Okay? Because you're not good at it. His dick is probably the size of my pinky fucking finger, and it ain't doing shit. Like, you know what I mean? This man needs to take several freaking seats, all of the seats, okay, in the world that's available to him. He needs to take all of those seats. Stop talking about women's bodies. Stop talking and don't compare her to the other women you've been with. Because I'm sorry, I find it freaking hard to believe that you're with like these hot ass girls who are doing CrossFit and Pilates every day. I highly doubt that because you do not look like a person who any woman's going to look twice at. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm mad. This fucking guy, he has to be the most hated person ever. Like, I thought Arena was bad. Arena is bad. This guy takes the cake. He's worse than Shake, y'all. He is worse than Shake asking the women, so if we're at a music festival, can I lift you above my, can I lift you on my shoulders? He's worse than that. Because at least he was doing that behind a wall, y'all. He wasn't actually looking at people in the face and saying, well, I'm usually used to lifting girls up on my shoulders at a music festival. Like, at least he wasn't doing that. Okay? This guy looks her dead in her fucking eyes and literally says, so I'm used to this kind of girl. The fuck? Oh, he's on my shit list. Oh, he's on my shit list. But wait, there's space for someone else to be on my shit list. You ready? Let's get to it. Ashley and Alex. They're both working as well. They look like they were working. She asks him, hey, are you on a call? He says no. He's like in a meeting or something. But it doesn't sound like they are quite aligned right now with where they want to live. They're talking Florida, Phoenix. They're all over the place right now. And he's about to get a contract for a soccer thing. He's gonna do like a coaching or whatever. She wants to move up in her company, but she is planning to talk to her boss the next day about what that could look like. And or he says, well, you know, I mean, it's been like however long it's been since they've been back, and he's got like all these job opportunities. And your point? What's your point? It's only been a few days. Like, calm the fuck down. And anyway, she says she wants to talk to her boss about opportunities, like in other states, I guess. Then he starts talking about her rearranging the fridge. What? So because she rearranged the fridge, it's like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. This is weird. But anyway, and she's like, okay, have I done that since the water? Like, what? Can I get context, please? I don't understand. What about the water? And he's like, well, I haven't put anything in the fridge since then. And she's like, okay, so it was one time. We already talked about it. So why basically we're talking about this again? Driving me nuts. My boyfriend tries that shit on me. And I've nipped that shit in the butt and been like, we already talked about it. I'm not talking about it again. You're not gonna throw shit in my face again. The fuck? And first of all, rearranging the fridge, that's my fridge, sir. I arrange the fridge as I see fit. You work around me. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Anyways, um, said, yeah, basically said not to take it personally. And you said, okay. Well, I was just thinking about it more. That's all. That's your problem. You can think about it all you want, sir. That then doesn't mean that you get to then bring it back up again. Like, what the hell? You wouldn't like if she did that to you. So why do you think it's okay for you to do it to her? Um, and he's like, like, how I fold clothes. She says, you can fold your clothes however you want. Like, it doesn't really matter. Again, of course, I'm not folding your goddamn clothes. If you want to fold, I mean, listen, I've folded my boyfriend's clothes, obviously, and he doesn't make a big deal about it. Like, he doesn't care. Like, it is what it is. But if you're like so hell bent about how your clothes, and I can be that way too, but if you're so hell bent about how clothes need to be folded, either explain to her how you want your clothes folded. Because again, even like how I fold my clothes versus how like my mom folds her clothes, it's different. But like you just adapt to how the person wants the clothes folded. It's not that big of a deal. So either you show her how you want the clothes folded or you do it yourself. No big deal, you know? So, but yeah, she says, you can fold it however you want. But since we're airing out grievances, like apparently today's the day to air out grievances. Last night we had an intimate date, the mud situation, rubbing mud on each other. We come home. She wants to fuck y'all. Like, your hands all over me. I want to deal with that shit. You know what I mean? But apparently he said, "Oh, I gotta go leave and do something." And that upset her because she wanted to fuck. I mean, I understand that, especially if you're having like an intimate date and you're touching on each other and, it's like, okay, fine, I want you to touch me in places that you can't touch me right now. So let's go home. And then you're like, I gotta go do something. What do you need to do? What was so important that you needed to do at that time? Like, what are you doing? So he says, well, I initiated a lot in Cabo. Okay, but okay, even if you did, even if that's true, you you left. So how do you expect her to initiate? I think I mean, I don't know if it's like Ashley, but what he needs to understand here is us as a women, we do overthink things sometimes. If you're telling me you gotta go leave and do something, I'm not gonna feel as a safe space for me to initiate sex. Plus, I do think for some women, not all, but for some women, we need to really know you and be very comfortable with you to initiate sex. I don't think I ever really initiated sex with my boyfriend in the beginning. I think I think it was like him most of the time. I don't think I ever got comfortable to do that until, you know, when I really felt like I knew him and I felt he was safe. And and when I say mean safe, obviously I don't mean like I'm unsafe, but like I feel safe to be comfortable to initiate, to be vulnerable in that sense. Because you are being vulnerable and that's a lot. Um, so maybe that's partially for her too. You can be a sexual being because she seems to be very much a sexual being, as am I, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily feel comfortable to initiate sex. You know what I mean? Um, so, but either way, that being said, when you're saying, oh, I gotta go do something, well, I'm not gonna initiate them because you're not gonna stay. Or I feel like you're not gonna stay or whatever. Um, so she says like last night, he says last night we didn't have sex, but and she's like, are you serious? Did I, um, oh, sorry. Am I getting confused here? Who initiated? No, he initiated and whatever. And he says, like, did I not come out the shower and just take you? Oh my God. And she's like, yeah, because I was horny. Yeah. Here we haven't, or she's saying, because they're saying that they've had sex in Cabo, but maybe here they haven't been having sex since they've been back in Ohio. And he says, then grab me and let's go, which men do like that as well. My boyfriend has definitely said, just take what's yours. Like, you don't gotta wait for me to take it. And yes, whatever. I get that. Men do like that. But again, to go back to it, it's like maybe she doesn't feel comfortable doing that. Again, I'm talking about a relationship where I've been with him for over 8 years. They have been together for not even 8 weeks. So it's like maybe she needs to feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, who knows? Um, she's like, but you left. And like you're also on your phone in bed. As a person whose man is also constantly on his phone, um, I do think maybe for him it's kind of maybe an anxiety thing, like he needs to constantly be doing something. Um, the phone don't mean shit. You just gotta crawl on top of him, and the phone's going down, like phone schmoan. You know what I mean? But yeah, so yes, he could constantly be on his phone, and I'm assuming like maybe not like on his phone, but like social media or something like that. It doesn't mean anything. But again, I'm talking about, for me, a relationship I've been in for a very long time versus theirs very short time. Um, she says, like, I'm not gonna force you. And she starts questioning, like, are you not attracted to me? And he says, yeah. I mean, you're not the type I usually go for. That's not what you say in the situation, but hey, but I am attracted to you. Plus, like, you're on your period. Okay, so if she's on her, okay, wait. I don't know if her period's done right now. Because I have questions. I don't know if her period's done right now. I know some women will have sex on their period. I am not one of those people. Um, Especially when it's like in the beginning of my period. Get the fuck away from me. Um, if it's towards the end of my period, like I don't care as much because I'm whatever. But I know like he doesn't particularly like it. So um blood seems to freak him out a little bit. So I just, respect him on that part. So I don't know if like she's like full blown on her period right now and still wants to fuck, and I'm like, girlfriend, what? But whatever. Tis whatever you want to do. But so I don't know if she's like done, but I'm thinking it's because she's on her period. Like, he doesn't really necessarily want to have sex while on her period. Okay, that's your prerogative, and that's his right. But it's not about her period. That seems to be the issue. He says, like, I'm not gonna know. And like I don't want a kid yet. The fuck you say? Sir, she can't, I mean you can, but you can't. You can't. It's very unlikely. She's not gonna get pregnant on her period. Let me For any men out here that is listening to me right now, which I don't know. Usually how this works, how a woman's menstrual cycle works, is day one is the start of a period. Okay. Usually in that moment, there's no egg present because the egg would have already gone and been deemed useless weeks before. So you're shedding the uterine lining during your period. That that is what's happening. There's no egg in sight. Okay. Then she's going to be in her follicle stage where the egg is, or the follicle, I should say, more so, is growing and maturing and getting to a point where she is going to then release said egg from the follicle. Okay. That usually does not happen until about day 14 of her cycle. It's about 2 weeks later. Okay. Now, that can vary by woman to woman, depending on how long your cycle is. That could be any a normal cycle, as women know, is between 28 and 35 days. Okay. Typically 28, even 30. Okay. Usually, most women are not going to have a 28-day cycle. Some women are going to have 21-day cycles. There's other stuff going on. So that obviously can shift when one is going to release a said egg. But when she releases said egg, that's called ovulation. Okay? Ovulation is when one can get pregnant between 24 to 48 hours after the egg has been released. Now, there is something called a fertile window. It usually lasts about 6 to 7 days, usually 7. So, during that time, if you're having unprotected sex, that is when potentially you could get someone pregnant because your sperm can last from 3 to 5 days within the uterus. Okay. Following me here? Okay. So if you're having sex any point in time unprotected during the fertile window, that is when she can get pregnant once her egg is released and she is now ovulating. Okay. So once that happens and she is either going to out fertilize egg and it's doing its thing, or doesn't get fertilized and it becomes useless. So that is what's going to happen. Then she enters her luteal stage, where her body is either going to be prepping for pregnancy or not. And once it reaches the end of said phase, all of the hormone levels are going to whoop drop down, and that's when she's going to have a period, and that's when she's shedding the uterine lining. Okay. And the whole cycle starts all over again. It's fantastic, isn't it? Anyways, that is what's happening. Sir, you're not going to get her pregnant when she's on her period. My other question, though, that I do want to stress here is, why the fuck are you using protection? Why is this even a fucking conversation? So this is clearly a conversation because you dodo birds are not using protection. You don't fucking know each other. You don't know if you guys are going to get married at the end of this. And you out here not using protection? The fuck is happening? Are you good? What is going on? Here's my thing. If you end up getting her pregnant, y'all deserve it, because you should not be using protection. I'm using going unprotected. Are you insane? Like, I don't know what condoms aren't cool anymore. Like, what is going on? Like, fuck. I mean, my boyfriend and I still use condoms from time to time, depending, you know, it's whatever. I don't particularly like them, but I'm in a different phase in life. I'm trying to get pregnant. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what? Why is this even a conversation? I'm very confused. But anyway, she literally has to go through what I just went through with everybody and says, like, I can't get rid of my period. I ovulate 2 weeks after. He says, okay, well, if it was done, like, why didn't you fuck me then last night? Because you weren't here, apparently. And she says, and I also got over it because you left me. I was pregnant, horny in the moment. The moment has now passed. And she's like, but it's my fault that I didn't like initiate, and that's why we didn't have sex. Like, what? But then he starts talking about other things. And she says, I will try to be less, I'll try to be more clean. I will try to work on my job because I love my company. I want to make sure I can stay with them. He says, well, when it comes to intimacy, I don't want a kid right now. We've already went through this. She says, I don't want a kid either. Like, what? Then use fucking protection. Anyway, she says that she likes touch. She touches him. She doesn't want to be needy. And he says, I just didn't touch you during the 5 days of your period. You can still touch me, she says. So he won't even touch her? Is touching gonna get her pregnant? I'm so confused. You can touch her. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? To me, it just feels like it's maybe partially, yes, about kids, but it also feels like, well, in this case, in this situation here right now, that it's also like he's just like, ew, like he doesn't want to touch her because she's on her period. Um, fact, period blood is the most cleanest blood. Fact. So, anyway, um, does it better. But it's just why are you scorning her to the point where you can't even touch her while she's on her period? Like, what is going on right now? He goes into, I was an accident. I just don't want that. Um, and she said, well, I'm gonna track my cycle. So here's my thing. You were an accident, and one accident to another. Your parents having you at a time where they were not ready to have you is not your problem. That's not your burden to bear at all. And to use your parents' burden as a reason why you can't do X, Y, and Z is fucking ridiculous. Unless, unless this has happened to him before, where someone has either lied to him about a pregnancy or tried trapping him into something, whatever the case may be. I feel like that's what's really going on here. And the thing is like, I don't think he would ever tell her that that's what the issue is because she's going to spiral. And I say spiral because we're going to see what happens later on. But it's weird. Like, I'm literally like watching this and I'm like, he's not telling her something. And he goes to that, but it's like, no, there's something else. There's something else. Anyways, Amber and Jordan. So he's meeting her brother Jake. He just wants to make sure that this is going to be good for her. Her last couple relationships, they sucked. Jordan also met Matt at this point, who is Emma's dad, and that went well. That's it for them. Christine and Vic. They are at some interesting park with like bush statues or something. Then we got gold bottles, y'all. Not even just gold goblets. Gold bottles. Love is making way too much money. They talk about kids. And he talks about his journey of being a child, having guns in his face. And she says, do you feel anything about having me as like as a white woman having your children? Because like the journey for their children as biracial kids is going to be very different. One's not necessarily going to understand the black experience while the other's not going to understand the white experience. So like, does that bother him? And he says no, but having biracial kids is going to be a different challenge because they may say things like, I don't feel like I am home, because they are going to be on two ends of the spectrum here. And I loved in this moment because this is never talked about enough. Because I feel like, listen, there aren't people who think about what this is going to mean for their kids, which is horrible that anyone has to think about that. But unfortunately, it is the reality that biracial children, and I'm mainly talking white and black, are not going to be fully understood. Like, their experience is not going to be fully understood. And you would think that this has passed, it hasn't. So, no, parents do not, when they have children or decide to have children, do not talk about that enough. They don't. So, what I loved in this moment with Vic is that he talks about that. And I thought that was amazing. Good for him on bringing this up. We're making a decision that our kids are going to have to live with. And that journey for them is not going to be an easy one. And we're the ones that are putting them in that situation. And because we're the ones that are putting them in that situation, we have to be well aware of what we need to do to make their life as easy as humanly possible and make sure that they have both of us to come to talk about both of the experiences on either side. I fucking loved it. I mean, he didn't say all of that, but that's essentially what he's getting to. And I loved that he brought that up. I think that is so perfectly well put. There's nothing more I can say. It's just, I was absolutely amazed to hear him say that because listen, they are not the first interracial couple we have seen on Love's Blind. If we think back to like Chelsea and Kwame, I can't remember anybody else, but they're the first ones that come to my mind right now. I would have appreciated, because I think they talked about kids and they do want to have kids. I would have appreciated if they talked about that as well. And not to say that white people don't think about it, but they don't think about it. And Christine isn't going to bring that part up. Chelsea's not going to bring that part up. Unfortunately, it is our job as the Black people to bring that up. And I loved that he did. And I think everyone needs to talk about it. And it would have been great to see Kwame, even Lauren and Cameron. They never talked about it. And I wish, or maybe they did, it just never happened on camera. And maybe even for Kwame and Chelsea, maybe they did, and it just never was on camera. But um, I hope that they do, and that is something that comes. But again, this is something that was never brought up on camera, and it would have been nice to see that. And so I love that Vic did that, and it was done on camera because it is very true. It is a very different experience for biracial children. Brittany and Devontae. He's meeting her family. We got to add Daryl, Susan's her mom, and Marissa's her sister-in-law, and Seth her brother. So Devontae has 5 siblings. That's a lot of kids. He's the second oldest. He does things that she said. He says, oh, sorry, Brittany says he does things. He cooks, he cleans, and he even does the small things like clear the time on the microwave. Thank you. Keep him. He's a keeper. I hate it when people do that. My mom does that. It drives me absolutely nuts. Clear the goddamn time on the microwave. People at my work will do that too. Leave the time on the microwave. Take the time off of the microwave. You're not the only fucking ones. I need to use the microwave as well. Like, take the time off of it. It drives me nuts. But ultimately, it goes well for them. Bree and Connor. So we're meeting her mother. She's hesitant on bringing her dad into all of this right now. He needs to be a little bit tougher. But other than that, it was a whole lot of nothing. Yet she talked a whole lot. She does talk a lot. She really talks a lot. Emma and Mike. She is meeting his family. Mom cried a lot, apparently, when she found out he was engaged. How could this be happening, basically? So, of course, we go through the whole thing of this is Love is Blind. Do you say you love each other? But, like, how can that be? It's so soon. Dad is like, so, have you been with Italians before? Actually, yes, she's been with Italians before. Her last ex was Italian. But Emma loves to cook. She says, I like to make spaghetti sauce and whatever. And Mom's like, but see, that's not sauce. That's gravy. Sauce is like marinara sauce. Gravy is gravy that's with meat sauce. I'm, I still, you know what? I know you're the expert. I'm not, but I still feel like that's incorrect. I don't believe you there, ma'am. I don't think it's gravy just because it's with meat. 9 times out of 10, yeah. But I think if it's red or like Alfredo or rosé, it's a sauce. Even if there's beef in it. You know what I mean? But If it's brown, that's gravy. I'm still gonna fight her on that because I don't. I hear what she's saying, but I don't think make a bolognese. That's a sauce because it's with tomato sauce. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, they talk about that. And then they talk about how you say coffee. Listen, I do think the Italians have it correct. I do think it's coffee because it's CO. It's not coffee, CA. I do think it should be coffee, but it's hard for me to say it like that. So I'm going to stick to calling it coffee. So anyway, then they talk about, well, so you both want to have kids, though, right? Uh-oh. Emma says, well, he does. I'm on the fence. I'm open though, but I know I want to be with him at the end, wanted to be him at the end of the aisle. And mom was like, but how could she be sure about him, but then not want to have kids? Those are two different things, ma'am. Those are two fucking different things. You can be so sure about the person you want to be with, but not be so sure about wanting to have kids. They're two different things. So let me ask you this, ma'am. Do you think that all women are meant for is pushing out babies? We're just baby factories? Is that all you think we are? Like, because I just don't understand why she thinks those are two of the same thing, you know? Um, so his sister is like, we were raised around our cousins. And, I want that for our kids as well. And all this conversation, y'all, is happening while she's sitting right there. Then they ask about her parents. And she says, well, I was adopted. And she goes through the story of that and her birthmarks, and that being partially the reason that she's hesitant to have children. And I think they do understand that. I think it's understandable. But Dad says, well, you got to be sure because there's no divorce. There's just apparently no divorce in Ohio, apparently. Y'all just sticking together. Like, what the hell? um, I wonder what your divorce rate is in Ohio. Actually, I want to find that out. What is the divorce rate in Ohio? What is the divorce rate in Ohio? Oh, right. The divorce rate in Ohio is approximately 2.4 to 2.6% per 1,000 residents as of 2021 to 2023, reflecting a significant 44.7% decrease over the past 30 years. While overall rates are declining, Ohio has experienced an increase in gray divorce, whatever that means, for couples over 50. The highest divorce rate in the state are often found in rural countries. Okay. So it does appear that your rate in Ohio has actually decreased. Maybe there is no divorce in Ohio. What the hell? Um, so yeah, I mean, good for you guys. Um, but anyways, yeah, there's no divorce. Parents do like her. They think that she would blend beautifully with the family, despite the fact that she's unsure she wants to be a mama. But anyways, that's it for them. That's it for the episode, and that is it for my episode. So we'll be back. We'll be jumping with episode 9, which is when the pod party happens, y'all. Chris's shit show. Anyway, we'll be talking about that then, but I'll be back with that episode very soon. Until then, guys, that is it for me. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod. I believe you can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/realityt times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.